Have you ever wondered what it takes to change the world? Not with armies or fortunes, but with an unshakable belief in freedom and equality. Today, we're diving into the extraordinary life of a man who did just that, Nelson Mandela. His story isn't just a chapter in a history book, it's a powerful lesson in resilience, forgiveness, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. Born in 1918 in a small village in South Africa, he was named Rolala, which colloquially means troublemaker. A fitting name, perhaps, for a boy who would grow up to challenge an entire system of injustice. As a young man, Mandela moved to Johannesburg to study law. It was there, in the bustling heart of the city, that he first witnessed the harsh realities of apartheid, the brutal system of racial segregation that denied black South Africans their basic human rights. Imagine living in your own country, but being treated as a second-class citizen. Imagine being told where you could live, what jobs you could have, and who you could love, all based on the color of your skin. This was the world Mandela saw, and he knew he could not stand by and do nothing. He joined the African National Congress, or ANC, in 1944. Initially, he and his comrades believed in nonviolent protests, organizing strikes, boycotts, and civil disobedience campaigns inspired by leaders like Mahatma Gandhi. They marched for their rights, they spoke out against injustice, and they dreamed of a rainbow nation where all people, regardless of race, could live together in peace and equality. But the government responded not with dialogue, but with brute force. The turning point came in 1960, with the Sharpeville massacre, where police opened fire on a peaceful protest, killing 69 people. This tragic event convinced Mandela and the ANC that peaceful protest alone was not enough. They felt they had no choice but to take up arms against a violent state, forming a military wing called Umkhonto we Sizwe, or Spear of the Nation. Their goal was not to harm civilians, but to sabotage government infrastructure and force the apartheid regime to the negotiating table. This decision came at a great personal cost. Mandela became a wanted man, living in the shadows, constantly on the run. He was eventually captured in 1962. At his trial, facing the possibility of the death penalty, he delivered one of the most powerful speeches of the 20th century. He concluded with these immortal words, "I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." He was spared the death penalty but was sentenced to life in prison. He was sent to the notorious Robben Island, a harsh, isolated prison off the coast of Cape Town. For the next 27 years, this tiny cell would be his home. He was known as prisoner 466/64. His days were filled with hard labor in a lime quarry, where the bright glare permanently damaged his eyes. The conditions were brutal, designed to break the spirit of the political prisoners. But they underestimated Nelson Mandela. Even behind bars, his influence grew. He became a symbol of the global anti-apartheid movement. Around the world, people chanted "Free Nelson Mandela." He was a ghost, a name whispered in defiance, but his spirit was more powerful than any prison wall. In prison, he secretly wrote his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom, on tiny scraps of paper. He organized his fellow prisoners, turning the prison into a university, where they educated each other and kept the flame of the struggle alive. He learned Afrikaans, the language of his oppressors, because he understood that to make peace with an enemy, you must first understand them. Years turned into decades. The world changed, but Mandela remained in his cell. The international pressure on South Africa's apartheid government became immense. Sanctions were imposed, athletes were boycotted, and artists refused to perform there. The system was beginning to crumble from both internal resistance and external pressure. Finally, in 1990, a new South African president, F.W. de Klerk, made a historic announcement. He was unbanning the ANC and releasing Nelson Mandela. On February 11, 1990, the world watched as a 71-year-old Nelson Mandela walked out of prison, hand in hand with his wife Winnie, his fist raised in a symbol of victory. He had been imprisoned for 27 years. Most people would have emerged from such an ordeal filled with anger and a desire for revenge, but Mandela was not most people. He knew that vengeance would only lead to more bloodshed and tear his beloved country apart. Instead, he chose a path that stunned the world, the path of reconciliation. He worked closely with President de Klerk, the very man who represented the system that had imprisoned him, to negotiate a peaceful end to apartheid and a transition to a multiracial democracy. It was an incredibly delicate process, fraught with danger. But Mandela's leadership, his calm demeanor, and his unwavering commitment to peace held the nation together. For their incredible efforts, Mandela and de Klerk were jointly awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1993. Then, in 1994, came the moment that once seemed impossible. South Africa held its first-ever democratic election, where all citizens, of all races, could vote. Long lines of people snaked for miles, many waiting for hours under the hot sun. For millions of black South Africans, it was the first time in their lives they were able to cast a ballot. And overwhelmingly, they chose Nelson Mandela to be their president. As president, Mandela faced the monumental task of healing a deeply divided nation. He established the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, not to punish people for past crimes, but to allow victims and perpetrators to share their stories, to uncover the truth, and to find a path toward forgiveness. It was a radical idea, but it was essential for national healing. One of his most iconic moments of reconciliation came during the 1995 Rugby World Cup, hosted in South Africa. Rugby had long been a symbol of white Afrikaner dominance. But Mandela famously embraced the sport, even wearing the jersey of the national team, the Springboks. When South Africa won the final, he walked onto the field and presented the trophy to the team's captain, Francois Pienaar. In that single moment, he united a nation of black and white citizens in a shared moment of joy and national pride. After serving one term as president, he chose not to run again, demonstrating his commitment to democratic principles and paving the way for a new generation of leaders. He retired from politics but never from public life, becoming a global statesman, a passionate advocate for peace, and a champion in the fight against HIV/AIDS. Nelson Mandela, or Madiba as he was affectionately known, showed us the true meaning of leadership. He taught us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. He showed us that true freedom isn't just about casting off your own chains, but about living in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. And perhaps most importantly, he demonstrated the incredible power of forgiveness to heal the deepest of wounds. His long walk to freedom became a journey that inspired the entire world. Thank you so much for joining us on this look into the life of a true global icon. If you found this story as moving and inspiring as we do, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more stories about the people who changed our world. Let us know in the comments what Nelson Mandela's legacy means to you. Until next time, stay curious.